Now that we've done our good morning with weight, with control, understanding where our hips are, where this crease is, we're now gonna build it into our squat. Starting from a seated surface helps us really to understand where the depth of the movement is. As you're building into deeper squat range, you can also reperform this exercise from a deeper and deeper stool so that you can explore what it feels like at the bottom of whatever your movement is. If you're gonna do an ass to grass all the way down, depth of a squat, try it at a really deep seat, but still having something to support our body weight so we can get started and find the position is really helpful instead of just kind of gradually working deeper and hoping everything comes with us. In our good morning, we learned how to make sure we were loading from here and not from our lower backs with the extension of our hips. To do a squat, we now have to add the extension of our knees at the same time. The knee extenders are our quads, so a squat, depending on our body mechanics and ratios of how long your femur is compared to your shin, compared to your torso, might dictate what the movement looks like. But in this variation of a squat, we're gonna make sure that we're getting both quads and glutes. We're gonna start with the good morning. We're going to do it without a weight or a band for the first variation and then build into some deeper levels of control and then deeper levels of load. I'm starting with my same good morning here, and once I come to the edge of this movement, before pushing back into the start position using just my hip extensors, I'm now going to push up and off the box. I don't care about coming all the way vertical. When we usually come all the way vertical where we're letting everything relax, we kind of lose awareness of what the muscles under tension are, and it makes it a little bit harder as we're learning to control a movement. So I like to tell people to shave off the ends of their movement, keep it a little bit shallower than all of the range that you do have, everything you have access to. We're gonna cut maybe 10% off each edge, and we're gonna stop at this kind of like mostly extended but not fully extended and relaxed position and try to reverse 100% the same with our control. Now, what's really important is that most people start and then they rock off the bench. And what that's doing is changing our body weight. Instead of using our hips to create the transition, we're using momentum to place the weight over our quads so we can be super quad dominant and just get ourselves up with our thighs. That doesn't work in the long run, and it leads us to a lot of injury risk or irritation risk. So what we're gonna make sure that we do is we're gonna pause before we push up and make sure that with no momentum, no rocking, we can push ourselves out of the box. Most people, the first time they do it, go like, I don't know what you want me to do or how I'm supposed to get up from here. That's what you should feel. Go find your hips and use them to get you out of that position. The deeper you go, the harder that it gets to do so without using our back or momentum to help us cheat. I'm gonna do 2 more, coming into the depth of that angle where I did my good morning. I can show you with my hands on top of my head, again, thinking that my ribs shouldn't flare, they shouldn't pop anywhere. They're staying in line with my torso. No momentum, pushing ourselves up out of the box. As I go into my next variation, I'm gonna add the band here. I use a medium band for almost everything because we're not really trying to get our muscle mass out of the band. We're trying to get a cue out of the band. One way to progress is actually to make the band lighter in many cases because we're having you use the control inside your body to make sure you're finding the right muscles versus relying on something to push or force us there. So I like to go medium and then lighter. I barely ever pick up the heaviest band that I've got here at the clinic. We're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna add a little pulsation to make sure we've really got well distributed the work of the quads versus the hips here. So we're gonna come into our same good morning position and we're gonna hover just over top the box. We're gonna hang out here and we're gonna add a little pulsation from the band, keeping it under tension the whole time so we're not relaxing it all the way back in. Just a little more, little less, little more, little less, little more, little less, not letting our feet move. And then we're gonna pulse vertically, keeping the band in the same position, pulsing from the quads. Come back down to our hover, pulse out, 2, 3, 4, emphasizing this area of the hips, 2, 3, 4, emphasizing the quads. You should feel like you get tired decently quickly because we're spending a lot of time under tension in that movement. We're really, really trying to emphasize that feeling in your brain where I'm in the same position pretty much, but I'm moving the load, I'm moving the work from here to here and back and forth. So this isn't supposed to be our heaviest exercise either. This is a great warm up to be like, okay, at this depth, where am I? And I find that right about this 90-degree mark is when most people, the sitting depth, most people lose sight of their hips and what they're doing. And the bottom half of their squat is where we lose control. And we start making some movement errors that can lead us to SI joint pain, back pain, disc herniations, knee problems, foot problems, plantar fasciitis. The list goes on and on. Make sure that you perform this often enough that you don't lose the patterns of control in between. If you progress too quickly and you do it once a week at most and you're trying to learn the control, you're not going to be very successful at it. Control and learning requires a higher frequency. So I might spend a week doing this every single time before I do a leg workout or a workout of any kind, or just daily in my home. And then the next week, try to progress with the load into the next variation. This next variation taking us again from the good morning into our squat. We're gonna start how we did in the last video, weight hanging just in front of us, come into our good morning position, and then making sure there's no momentum, push ourselves out of the box position, stay shy of the top depth, try to come all the way back to where we started. No momentum, lots of glute plus quad load here. You should feel that it's relatively evenly distributed. And I'm going to do 3 more without rocking back into my initial good morning as we turn this into a nice squat. You can really feel, if you focus on it, as you come down, the like kind of sitting into, or like the deepening of these hip creases, these folds that we want to get. That's how we're letting our hip take some of the load, lengthening the glute fibers, and then pushing back out of all of that. Again, the good morning piece is where our glutes are, the hip extension, and the knee extension is where our quads are. So it's a very quad glute exercise, not so much inner thigh, shin, calf, etc. If you feel like you're getting the hardest work from your shins or your lower back, something's going wrong, and you're gonna wanna take a check-in moment, return to some of the easier variations, reduce your load, reduce the height of your seat, and then gradually work back into it.